A Florida teacher slashes a 5-year-old boy's face with a ruler? How does this happen? Well, I'll tell you. Chrishawn Nicholson, Florida teacher at Aspire Preparatory Academy in Miami Gardens, is accused of slashing a 5-year-old student's face with a ruler and is now facing one felony count of child abuse after initially blaming the child for the injury. 25-year-old teacher maintained the child cut himself while playing with a pencil in class. Prosecutors say they have a video of Nicholson admitting to the assault. So, assault and lying. We want our teachers to lead by example with these young, fresh minds. 5 years old, your first experience at school with a teacher. Kids revere their teachers often. You never forget. I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Hiley. May she rest, a wonderful, wonderful woman. And then there's Nicholson here. Incident took place at the suburban K-5 charter school in the morning of November 19th. When Nicholson contacted the victim's mother, she said her son had been playing with a pencil and, quote, got cut near his eyebrow, according to police documents obtained by NBC. The young boy was sent home with a deep gash that required a trip to the hospital and 3 stitches. So you didn't even get him the medical attention that he needed. Atlanta Blackstar filling in the details. This was a gash. This wasn't just a hit. This wasn't just a minor cut that you can put a Band-Aid on. This was a deep cut that required him to get stitches. The victim's mother told 7 News Miami. According to the mother, the boy told her on the way to the hospital that the teacher had hit him with a ruler. Hospital's medical staff also stated a pencil could not have caused the injury. He did admit he was playing around. Because that's what 5-year-olds do. And the teacher was yelling at him and frustrated because he was not listening, mother told the news outlet. After 2 days of back and forth with the school, she reported the alleged assault to the Miami Gardens police, which prompted an evaluation by Child Protective Services. The boy then demonstrated to investigators how Nicholson allegedly struck him, according to news outlets. And the mother provided police with a video of her son repeating the same story. The allegations are that she hit a 5-year-old with a ruler. The 5-year-old required medical treatment. And there's a video where she said, I did pop him. The prosecutor said in court January 10th, according to NBC 6 South Florida. Nicholson turned herself in January 9th and left a Florida jail the next day after posting a $5,000 bond. Although she was ordered to stay away from the boy, she is free to continue teaching. So what does that mean? The little boy can't go to school? Why would she be free? Do you understand that laws are supposed to make sense, and prosecutions and the justice system and protecting children? It should at least have a common sense approach. She's free to continue teaching, even though these are the allegations against her. And I believe that you have to temper justice with the rights of the accused, but children have to be protected no matter what, right? Kind of bizarre, free to keep teaching. I'm not going to order her that she can't work in her profession because this could be an isolated incident, the judge said in court, according to WSVN. What? Can I tap out of this world and get into a reasonable one, please? Like the wrestlers do, tapping out. This could be an isolated incident. Even if it's an isolated incident, what drove her to behave in this manner, and how do we get her the help so that this can never happen again? You sound ridiculous. She added, no matter how frustrated you are, you shouldn't take it out on that child. To where now this child, it could have been his eye. It was so close to his eye. Then he would have been blind for the rest of his life. Then what? That's just, I'd make it make sense. It's even the judges just, you sound ridiculous. You sound stupid. I'm sorry. I hate using that word. Can you react to this one? Yes. Is everyone, I'm not on the same, we do not see eye to eye is how I feel with everyone in these stories today.
Yeah. It's like making me a little crazy, and I don't want to make this story bigger than what it may be, but this is what happens when you don't pay teachers enough money. This is what happens when you defund schools constantly and consistently. The positions still need to be filled. The children still need to be taught. The number of students doesn't diminish just because you take money out of the school system. The schools still need to be run. But who is going to want these jobs? Who is applying for these jobs? There are plenty of people out there in the world, even myself included, right? Who would have considered a job in education if only it paid a decent, livable, respectable wage. People simply cannot afford to be teachers these days because it doesn't pay enough. A wage needs to be paid that is reflective also of the education and training needed to do the job in the first place. But this is the hiring pool, right? If you're not making the job competitive, you're going to have to hire unqualified people to fill those positions. I know that they're already doing that here in Houston. And who suffers ultimately because of this? The children, but also us, also our society. It's kind of like what we were talking about in the last story, that there's so much just like dumbness in the world today.
Mhm.
We are not competitive on so many different frontiers when you compare us to Asia and to Africa and to Europe as far as our test scores and things like that. That's why we're importing people from other countries to do certain jobs. That's not why I should amend that statement. We're importing people because they're cheaper, but also because they do have the education needed to do a lot of the jobs that we're doing here, or that we're not doing here. So the education overall, the dismantling of the education system here in this country is going to have long-term repercussions. They're going to span generations, decades, and is going to be very, very hard to reverse. And especially now, what we're seeing out of the Republican Party and with Trump, things are only going to get worse for students and for schools across this country.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty simple. If you value this profession, and it's been a political football, teaching public schools, the whole thing, and obviously the politicians are at fault, and so are the unions. Pay the teachers, hold them up to a higher standard, put them on a pedestal. If you really value it and you want to compete with the world, that's what you do. But I think you're dead on when you talk about this critical thinking aspect. Does anyone want to call the judge out besides us? What are you even talking about? I'm not going to say you can't teach because this is, an isolated incident. Hi, I need you to stay away from kids for a minute till we figure this thing out. Keep teaching? It's not congruent with the set of circumstances here. It's just not.